All right, everyone. Welcome back to the first episode of WaveWorld. Today, I got my producer friend, my homie in general, Ripseththomas. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. I know nobody knows this, but it's actually our second time filming this interview. But I'm gonna try and pretend like I don't know any of the answers. But it's my fault, of course, why everything was messed up. Anyways, so we gotta start off with the generic question. How do you get into producing?
So actually it's kind of funny. I was at a summer camp with one of my friends
Mhm.
and we were kind of just making this song up just out of nowhere. It was kind of just a funny song. No singing, thank God. It was just rapping. And so like we were like, we need a beat for this. And like of course you
Right.
can go to YouTube. I was like, I'm the type of person that's like, all right, I got you. Let me make one. And so I hopped on Soundtrap and like the worst
Soundtrack.
beat ever. And so, but I just wanted to improve at that. Like after I made that, I was like, this is actually kind of cool, and I wanted to improve in
Mm,
it. And then like Mira tutorials, all that stuff. It
of course,
just
the goat.
escalated quickly. Yeah, from there.
Right. All right. So why soundtrack, bro? I really generally are curious, because
Oh
I know they had an
man,
FL demo back then, or at least GarageBand. Soundtrap is kind of like out of the ordinary.
dude, I didn't know what FL was until like sophomore year of high school. I didn't know what
Okay.
FL was. I just thought it was Soundtrap. I was like, man, how are these people making these beats on Soundtrap and making them sound so good? Well, like, what's going on? And then like I figured out, oh, FL's a thing. Not everyone's
Okay.
making Soundtrap.
That's a very like, even though that's a generic question, that's definitely out of the ordinary answer. And most people definitely, start with like I use FL Mobile, like fucking like
Oh man, I haven't
GarageBand,
tried that
Ableton, like, oh, I tried FL. Well, I didn't try it before I had a laptop. I was using FL Mobile, and I was horrible on it. But the funny thing
yet.
is, I know like two producers that are actually like fire on it. Like I didn't like. I swear to God, if they didn't tell you to use FL Mobile, like you wouldn't even know. Like
That's crazy. How do you get your sounds on there and stuff?
I don't like. I used it in high school, and that was like 3 years ago, and I started using it. So I don't
Oh,
even know. Like I was probably using stock sounds. So
bro,
whatever
that
they're
might
doing,
be a YouTube video. That
it
might be
probably
a YouTube
is.
video right there.
I mean, hold on. You're right. That's actually a good idea. Probably like interviewing different mobile producers. Hey, we have the next video is gonna be a mobile producer beat battle, $50 prize. So
Dude,
you
that
may
would
be
be. I would actually watch that. That'd be
hell
crazy.
look be fire. All right, Seth got to get his cut though. He brung it up.
Bro, the 80-20 beef cut. I'll take that.
Hey, I've seen that meme. I'm wondering like, what if his loops are actually fire though? Like,
Dude, oh my.
E20 is crazy though. Like,
Getting
if you're a loop maker
20%
or
from that.
producer in general, if you send anything and you expect 80 to 20, just you might as well just sign a 360 deal.
Yeah, no, this ain't beef, bro. This is real life. Bro.
That's
You're not getting 80-20.
that's horrible. Like nobody's really gonna work with you.
Nah,
All right.
nah.
But moving on, I know we like started off the general question, with how you got in producing. So you say you started on Soundtrap. Did you have any like musical background, like any instruments or anything like that?
Um, so as a kid, I was forced to take piano lessons. I didn't learn much past like Bingo was his name-o,
Hmm.
like that, like a basic tune.
Right.
I didn't get past that. I just rotated different teachers and learned the same like first like steps into
Right.
piano over and over again. And then my dad played a lot of guitar. He still plays a lot of guitar. He has like 5 or 6 guitars.
Hmm.
So naturally, I like wanted to learn guitar for a long time. I still don't know how to play guitar. It's kind of just it's one of those things where like it's oversaturated in my house, so I don't
Right.
want to do it. It's like guitar all the time, and that makes me like I don't want to learn guitar, but I do want to learn guitar. I don't know. It's complicated, but
That makes sense.
so I mean, yeah, he plays guitar, and then in band I played the alto saxophone. I think we talked about this in
Right.
the first recording.
Twins, same
Yeah,
bro.
the saxophone gang. That was crazy.
All right. So why saxophone? Did you choose it or the instructor chose it for you?
Um, I chose it because me and 2 other friends like promised each other we'd like be in band and pick the same instrument,
Right.
and then one of my friends dropped out, and so like he didn't do it. He didn't drop out of school. He dropped out of the promise.
Okay.
No, he's cool. But like, I don't know. I was kind of just left in saxophone, and I actually ended up being pretty good at it. But it like I would just say that band helped with like I don't know the subconscious part of music theory, like getting in like a rhythm, getting a like a phrasing down. I feel
Right.
like that came from band because we're just studying music, like pretty
Right.
much.
Makes sense.
So yeah.
Okay. I mean, I feel that because I know I played band in high school and elementary school. Like I played saxophone in elementary, played like drums and man. So I will say like I hear like a lot of producers talk about like playing drums in church or playing piano, how they help them. But like band, like if you're in band and you want to produce now, it does help. Like that's why like
Yeah.
I like when I make rock songs, like we got a rock song place. The drums are so easy for me to play because I'm just so used to it from band, and then with saxophone now like that I'm making like a lot of R&B beats, it kind of implemented kind of like easily, so I feel like if you take a piano, that's good. I'm trying to get better at keys myself. I know piano a little bit, but if you want high school or a producer, go take band because it will
It's so
definitely help.
tough.
Like it really is. And then like I mean, piano lessons are good because when you learn piano, it kind of makes it easier to learn other instruments. But when you in band, it's easier to switch around, and then you also learn how to work with other people too. So like that's really slipped on. So I'm happy you brought that up. Okay, moving on down the line. So I know you mentioned Nick Mira previously, and of course in the first recording, I might as well spoil it for everybody. Me and Seth was kind of me and Nick Mira fanboys and talking about it, but you want to just talk about some of your influences and music. You can include Nick Mira if you want, also, of course.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, starting out, it was like pretty much just Nick Mira because that's like all that I knew. I was like, oh, this guy makes all the beats ever. And then
Right.
I was like, oh wait, there's like Metro Boomin, there's like Rio Leva, there's Taz Taylor who doesn't really produce anymore, but like there's a bunch of producers out there. And so it kind of just went like a rabbit hole kind of effect. I started on Nick Mira and then got recommended, like Kyle Beats and like got Simon Servita, all the YouTube producers. Then that went into a like Twitch streaming rabbit hole where like E-True streams, Pink Grills, Rio Leva, all of them. And I'm like, wow, there's so like, and they all bring something different to the table.
Right.
So you can learn something from each one of them. And so like, I don't know, I just went down a rabbit hole for a few years. And I'm still going down that rabbit hole. And here we are. I mean, I feel like I can take something away from every producer and kind of just make my own style with that.
Okay. No, definitely. I mean, I can kind of say like relate a lot to that because when I started producing, I really just learned from all internet money tutorials and just a lot of different YouTube producers. Like I know you mentioned Kyle Beats and Simon. And speaking of internet money, like especially back then, I feel like a lot of producers now, like they know all the internet money producers are fire, but they don't understand like back then, a group like that, there were other producer groups, but a group like Internet Money, all 9-10 producers were fire. They were all bringing something different to the table, and they were all educating like the community. Like, like you said, once you find out about Nick Mira, you go on the Rio and you start watching Pink Grills and Taz. Like it just kind of. I wish people could understand, like back like a few years ago, like how Internet Money really influenced the game.
Yeah.
You like, especially back 2014, really like 2014 and 2018. Think about how many Juice WRLD, Nick Mira type beats there were, and that's basically one name. So bro, and they're all the same 3 names. They'd either be Fraction, Lost, or something like that.
Dude, at the same BPM, it would be like the same key, and it would have the same preset and the same 808, the AGATS 808. All girls are the same 808. Just that same like distorted, just it was just all the same.
No, exactly. And then I know you said like it kind of made you go down a different rabbit holes from watching Twitch streams to just watching other YouTube producers. Now, even now, I feel like Internet Money kind of gets you on a rabbit hole looking at other producers. Like, look, the same way you said the Internet Money 808 or the Nick Mira 808, the Chase the Money 808. Everybody's now looking at the Chase the Money 808. Everybody's looking at a different producer group. So it's kind of funny. Like I know a lot of people like to say how rappers generations. How you go from. Just for an example, how you can go from Kanye to Lil Baby to newer rappers. It's kind of crazy how you just go from different producer groups, from working on Diane to Internet Money, to Timbaland all the way back in the day.
Yeah.
really just funny how it all works.
I think there's beauty in that too. I mean,
Oh,
like,
definitely.
just it kind of proves how simple it is to, become knowledgeable
Right.
about the game nowadays. The whole
Exactly.
the whole thing is shifted
It's
to
really
just internet, and anyone can get their hands on anything nowadays, and you can, become this super producer in your bedroom. So, I mean, I think it's super sick.
exactly. So piggybacking off of that, talking about how how everything works nowadays. What are some of matter of fact, we're gonna start like this. Give me some of your opinions on the producer industry today. They can be positive, negative, whatever you like.
Okay. Well, I think I like the ease um of getting into it.
All right.
Like, even if you don't want to download FL Studio, there's Soundtrap. I mean, it's
Right.
not great. It's there though. And then
It's there,
like,
it's an option.
yeah, it's, I mean, if you want.
Right.
But like, I was able to get, one of my friends just straight into FL Studio, straight into the game pretty much, and out of like nothing, like he just
Right.
had a computer that like his grandpa built him or something,
Right.
and we just made it work. I gave him my drum sounds that I've accumulated over the years, and he's
Mhm.
already like 10 steps ahead of where I was when I was in his shoes. So
Right.
I think like it's just getting easy to get into it. And
Right.
so then that creates, I don't know, like a more of a variety. Like there's people doing new stuff every single
Mhm.
day. And I think that's honestly beautiful about the whole game right now. One thing I do not like though is like, the 80-20 splits, bro. There's people that are really trying to do that.
Yeah.
There's people that are really trying to, give you a tiny cut whenever you make the song.
Right.
You make, I would say if there was an 80-20 split, you'd be making the 80 because honestly, like there's a
Exactly.
lot that goes into,
Right.
producing, and then a lot of people just don't pay their producers.
Right.
I think that's stupid.
No, Seth's exactly right. All of his points are spot on, especially if you're a rapper, or artist, manager, or whatever. Pay the producer because, this without there's no two without the other one. You know what I'm saying? There's no song without
Mhm.
the producer. A lot of people like to say producer, beat maker, whatever you like to call yourself, label yourself as. You can't have a song without the producer or beat maker or artist. The same way, if you want an artist to get on your song, you have to pay them. Like, unless y'all are cool and whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a business
Mhm.
at the end of the day because they're still gonna put their hard work and effort in. So
Mhm.
I'm happy you spoke on that. So also now we're gonna, I guess, rewind a little bit, go back to your background. So what was it like starting out making beats? Like, you watching all the internet money tutorials, you watching the streams, you trying to get beat, you trying to sell beats, trying to get your beats out. What was it like?
It was rough, man. That's just what
You would explain it.
it was. That's the short term. But I was really like watching a bunch of videos. Like, how do I get my beats to people?
All right.
And that there was like, I don't know. I had the beginning and the end result, and there was just a big question mark in the middle. I didn't know what to do, so I tried like a bunch of different things. I just cold DM'd people that I found on Instagram through hashtags like, dude, your music is so fire. You should hop on my beat. And then copied that and like pasted it to
Yeah.
like 10 different people. And
Yeah.
it didn't work. And so I tried, getting into a little bit of like the loop kits.
Mhm.
Went about that all wrong. I made a free 808 kit for my birthday, full of like kind of mid to trash 808s. It's still out there on my BeatStars. I think if you want to go get that, you
How about
can.
that, man?
It's crazy. I mean, maybe you can sauce them and make them
Yeah.
better, but
Wait
um
till you blow up. It'll be worth like $60 a kid at that point.
oh, dude, the poo poo 808 that like sounds like garbage is gonna be like
They're gonna make
super
it sound
expensive.
good, bro. People now are crazy.
So I mean, I I mean, it was just a lot of trial and error, I think,
Right,
to sum it up. And it still is, I still try new stuff all the time because you don't know unless you don't try.
right,
So I think now I'm more geared on just kind of doing my thing in a sense, kind of just making content and posting
right.
like everywhere consistently. And then I've had
Consistency.
more people like come to me to purchase beats or get like loops and stuff based
Right,
on just me doing my thing. Like posting stuff, making stuff and sending it out, posting it on YouTube, Twitch streams, especially. People are like, can you listen to my song? Can I send you loops in the chat? And so I think now it's kind of just like make content, and then, it'll draw people to you.
Right. Okay, so I want to touch on a few of the things you said. I know one of the main points you was making was consistency, and that's something that I kind of like live by. And I don't mean that in an egotistical way, I mean that in a logical way. Just consistency in general, whatever you're trying to do. And when I first started out, that was like, I wouldn't say consistency was my problem that I didn't know I had a problem with, because I really learned how to make beats when I graduated 8th grade, but I just started taking it serious, about a year and a half ago. And I feel like if I was just consistent, because I would make beats for like a few months. They were horrible, by the way, but I would make beats for a few months and like not make beats for like 5 months, then maybe come back making beats. But then the week, like when I really just sat down and said I'm gonna upload 3 times a week to YouTube, and do a beat dump every month and set a schedule for everything, like that's when I finally started to see progress made, and also piggybacking off of that, I like how the first thing you said was starting out rough, because
Yeah.
well, the Producer Grind podcast, like most producers do. A lot of times interview people, and like the reason that I really got into listening to the podcast, because a lot of producers made me feel related to, because I just thought, am I just bad? Like, am I just horrible? Like, am I just trash? Because I would go on YouTube and I see Kyle Beats, Nick Mira making a Juice WRLD hit in 5 seconds. And I can't make a melody to save my life. So I'm starting out, I'm just like, am I garbage? But hearing that other people are struggling too, and then just not following in their footsteps, but following like the certain steps to success, I guess you could say, like consistency and getting everything out, pushing content, like that's really the cheat code. And also, and related to that, do you think the producer industry is oversaturated? Do you think we have too many producers? Is there too many beat makers, like too many loop kits?
That's a tough question, because I mean, there are a lot of producers, yes, but the thing about it is, I don't know if an art form like this can really become oversaturated. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like a statistic where there's a bunch of people and they're all doing the same thing. That's when it gets oversaturated. But the beauty, like I mentioned before, producing is everyone's doing something different, like, and to be fair, there's a lot of similarities among producers, like including horrible posture. That is like pretty consistent among every producer.
I got a pillow on my back right now. My back hurts all the time.
Bro, I mean, like everyone's similar, but everyone, like we were talking about before, kind of brings something different to the table. So I don't know if it's gonna ever truly become saturated. It is a little hard to get your name out there. In that aspect, it is a little saturated, but I mean, in terms of just overall like sound, I mean, it's pretty much endless, man. It's music.
Right.
Just make music. Right. It's music.
You make anything a sound.
You can make a new genre tomorrow.
Right.
So I mean, it's just that part I don't think will ever become saturated, because there's always something new, and there's something to improve on. There's something to practice and start in general.
Okay. So I know you said there's a lot of producers. Obviously, there's a million producers now. It's 2023. So you're trying to push your content out. Trying to live on music producing is a hard task. So how do you motivate yourself? What keeps you going?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, the way that I talk about it to people is that if I'm not doing this, in a few years, and I'm not making this my profession, then I don't know what else I'm doing. Right. There's nothing else that I would like to be doing. I fully intend, to kind of revolutionize my life and the producer game.
Right.
By just coming up with new creative ideas. Maybe they haven't hit me yet, maybe they have, maybe I'm working on them in the background. But like, I fully intend to make this my career, fully intend to make it something huge, and I can't really see myself doing anything else.
Okay.
So I think that like that motivates me. But whenever that isn't enough, I would say I just hop on YouTube. As simple as that. I watch other people make beats,
Yep.
and then you just get inspiration,
Yep.
and then you
Exactly.
start making beats, and it just snowballs into
Right.
motivation. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. I kind of just do that every time I feel a little down or unmotivated. But yeah, I mean,
Okay. Definitely. I respect that.
yeah.
All right. Still moving down. All right. So it's a producer question. Just gotta try and ask every interviewee this.
Mhm.
Let's say I got a 14-year-old kid. He wants to start making beats. He got a laptop and a mouse. Nothing else but a laptop and a mouse. And FL, of course, because
Mhm.
we FL gang over here. I ain't hating on the Ableton people, but he got FL, a mouse, and a computer. So where does he, if you was to advise him, where does he go from here? And he does not know
Um,
any musical instruments or anything like that. No prior musical knowledge.
okay. First thing I would say might be a little I don't know if it's gonna get anyone in trouble, but I would say Reddit. Go to
Yep.
Reddit, get every sound you possibly can.
Yep.
Lunch 77 kits
Yep.
are, a really great go-to, especially starting out. You get like a million sounds in each one of those things, like 50 terabytes of just sounds. So I would start off there, and then I would look into other directions on how to get, instruments, one shots, anything that makes a sound that you can turn into a melody,
Mhm.
i.e. VSTs and plugins and one shots and all that stuff. Kind of just look around, be creative, you know.
Right.
I would say there's a couple sites that you could go to. Not gonna say anything, but there's a couple sites you could go to get
Right.
your hands on all that, or you could run your money up and do it
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah. There's always an option.
That's always an option, but I'm just gonna say you gotta do what you gotta do.
Right.
And I think it's very easy nowadays to get into that because,
It
like,
really is.
back in the day, man, I sound old saying that, but I mean back in the day, as in like sophomore year of high school for me, like 4 or 5 years ago, like I was just blown away by all of this stuff, and it wasn't that easy to get in. I mean,
It
like,
really wasn't.
no, it was kind of technical. I'm not gonna lie, and so like I think just nowadays it's really, really simple to get your hands on a bunch of stuff. Um, the good way and the not so great way. But
Right.
I would just say start at Reddit and see where you end up. I would just I feel like that's a pretty vague way to put it, a pretty
Okay.
safe way to put it. Yeah.
Definitely. You know, and when Steph says back in his day, I feel old too because back in my day, man, I was using stock sounds, Flex,
Oh,
FL
Flex.
keys. It was horrible. Jeez,
Flex is kind of fire. I'm not
Flex is
gonna
not that
lie.
bad. Flex is not that bad.
Yeah.
Flex has good sound, but all the other stock stuff like FL keys, like
FL keys is no, 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 no,
I
no, no.
thought the only VST back then was Omnisphere. There were like, let me explain to everybody. There were no loop kits back then.
Mhm.
There was like five different loop. There was like five different loop channels. Okay, it was
Yeah.
not like you could just go in the Discord and say send me loops. And I know some people be like, I didn't even know what Looperman was. Like I was really cut off from the world. So now also picking back off what Seth said, utilize social stuff because I have social media, but I was barely on it, and I don't. Social media is helpful, especially when you're trying to like make a business where
Mhm.
you're creating stuff for other people. If I feel like I got into the social world, just ask other people. Like I didn't even know what Serum was. I didn't know, what Keyzone. All I heard was Omnisphere and Nexus. Like, and I couldn't
Yeah.
afford those, and I couldn't get them the other way, because my
Yep.
computer cannot handle it at all either. So, like my old laptop. So utilize social skills, utilize Reddit. Well, Reddit is a social platform. So, utilize Reddit, YouTube, like Seth said. So
And like actually you actually reminded me a huge thing that I would say to this hypothetical 14-year-old is, bro, like nowadays I would say get loops, get as many loops as you can.
mhm,
Get your hands on some fire loops
right.
cuz obviously starting out you're not going to be able to make that.
You really
Let's be real. You're not going to like magically touch your keyboard and make a hard destroy lonely / hard rock loop. You're not going to do that. So, I mean, just have someone that does it for you. And then in that aspect, you're also just networking. You're
right.
meeting people you're getting your name out there. They're gonna repost the beat you made with it,
Right.
and so you're gonna get followers from them. They're gonna get followers from you. It's just that's how it works nowadays. So I would say get started on loops because I didn't do that for a long time. I'm
Mhm.
actually just now starting to get into like consistent collabs.
Right.
I've made everything from scratch, like always ever.
Mhm.
So I would say, looking back, loops are huge. Get loops. That's it. Get loops.
Definitely. Hey, loops be helping, man. Like, trust me. Like,
Mhm.
and then especially with Seth said, like, I met Seth through using his loop. I used the loop in Discord. I got it placed, and then I texted him, and then we got a few songs placed. So the
Mhm.
relation, it's more than just the melody or the sound. Like, it's also the relationship that you build, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of producers trying to come up, so you don't want to ever force yourself on somebody, but using their loop in a natural, like I wasn't using the loop just to get to Seth, like I was using it because I like the sound, and we made it like we made a connection, we started making beats together, and then when you find out who you work well with, it's easy to come up together because like if I ever get a big placement, Seth or one of my other producer homies will be on it, and even if I make it from scratch, the next time I send a loop to that artist, it will be with Seth or somebody else, so a lot of people like kind of go about trying to connect with other producers the wrong way, And
Mhm.
I bet Nick Mira still got the DMs I sent him like 5 years ago. So like I'm still guilty of it myself, but instead of forcing yourself on people, it's better to build connections, whether it's loops, midis. Like I wish I started when I was learning how to make melodies, I wish I used midis because I like
Yeah.
midis like are even like I'm not gonna say they're better than loops because they're two different things, but when you want to make a loop, you can just use the MIDI and use the notes off the MIDI. It's kind of a cheap code,
Mhm.
and you can also see how it's really made versus using the loop. But using loops are still, equally helpful. It really comes down to preference. And also MIDIs are good if you want to make your own loops, but you don't know how to go from scratch. It's just a little bit of help too, just
Yeah,
like a loop.
for sure.
And the same thing with loops, like I know one of the old Nick Mira videos again, he was saying you want to try and manipulate the loop, like the first
Mhm.
beat I got placed with Seth, I used them like an arcade vocal sample, and I chopped that up and that kind of added to the sound, instead of just, loading the loop, adding two claps and the hi-hat, and there's nothing wrong with that,
Yeah.
but it just adds more, and then I feel like if I didn't add that vocal chop, I'm not saying the beat would not have got placed, but it just added to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got like a few minutes left, so we're just gonna move on to some like the personal music questions, and I kind of already know the answer to this, but we're gonna ask you for the viewers. What have you been listening to recently?
You know what? Actually, it's kind of changed between like our last interview and this interview. I'm doing something that I haven't done in a while. I'm shuffling my like entire mainstream and underground kind of
Right.
mushed together playlist.
Okay.
Um, I know it's a bold move. It's crazy. You hear Drake and then you hear Destroy Lonely like after, but um, I don't know. I was just like, I'm listening to a lot of Dro Kenji always. I mean, still,
Right.
but I don't know. I used to listen to that playlist all through high school, and then I shuffled it, and I was just hearing those old classics
Right.
like Little Skies nowadays, and
Sir,
like
yes, sir.
Lust, and I'm like, man, this is nice. This is nice, and so I've just had that on shuffle. So I've been listening to some Drake, some Little Skies,
Right.
some Juice World. I haven't listened to him in a long time. I feel kind of bad because he's so far.
Right.
It kind of changed the entire game, but that's
Really.
okay. And so them along with hard rock, um, Destroy Lonely, a lot of Destroy Lonely. I went down a rabbit hole for him. I listened to his like discography at work the other day, and I was like, man, this old Destroy Lonely album is hitting. So I mean, just a lot of that, and then just the usual, man, Joe Kenji all the time.
Of course, of course. All right. Last, personal question, just question in general, just to end it off. So I know you
Mhm.
usually make like rap, man. When I say rap, Seth does a lot of subgenres rap. I've seen I've seen Seth, make Drill Kenji to Destroy Lonely, like everything. But if you
Mhm.
could make a genre besides rap, what would you choose? And if you would choose this, are you actually considering, changing it up a little bit?
Okay, so I would like to say I like indie beats, like
Okay.
kind of like that Ian Dior kind of style, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Where it's like kind of poppy. I
Right.
kind of like those, but like if it was something that I was really, really considering like learning and kind of getting into, I kind of want to learn EDM. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
I kind of want to like drop a project of
Sorry.
EDM stuff. No, you're good. I kind of want to drop a project of EDM stuff. I don't know how to make it, but like it
That'll
sounds
be fire,
fun.
bro. I mean, bro, you should. And I'm saying that because I'm kind of biased because like it's kind of embarrassing. Not embarrassing, but what got me into producing was EDM. Like I wanted to learn how to make EDM first, and it was very hard. But like once I kind of started getting it, and then I
Yeah.
kind of stopped getting it because it's very hard. I kind of moved on to rap. But like I always thought about the in the back of my head, like would it actually be harder or would I get better at it? But you should, bro. Like I know, like you probably know Pario. I know he dropped like an EDM like project like maybe a while ago, but
that's kind of what kicked it off for me.
right, like, and then he's like kind of inspiring. I'd be watching a lot of his videos, like he just be kind of like pushing other producers to just move outside their comfort zone. That's kind of like why I've been doing like a lot of R&B lately, and like making the R&B is kind of been a blessing because like it kind of grew my channel a lot, and I sold a lot of them beats too, like a lot of leases for those beats. So you never know what kind of like pathways you'll be opening, and it's funny you talk about the indie stuff. So send me work with me some indie stuff because Vonnie, he's actually like he wants to make like some more bedroom pop, and I'm like I made some loops for her too and everything. So we can talk about that more after, but we can work on that, like some more singing stuff. But
I bet, yeah, I definitely want to tap into that. I just got to find some good like sounds to use for that because all I have is like trap. Right. So like it'd be like a bedroom pop beat that you were saying, and then it'd just be like a rat kick, and and
I got you.
I'm like I don't want to send someone that. I don't want to send someone, but I've made pop songs before. I actually have one that's unreleased, and it's like I'm not gonna lie, it's really hard. The guy that made it,
I gotta hear it.
I'll send it to you. It's super catchy, and it's like it's cool. The guitar is like live and everything. It's like a whole vibe. And so I want to get into that. But in terms of like stuff I would like want to really get into and like kind of develop my own sound, I would say EDM. Okay. But piggybacking on what you said is like getting into other stuff to kind of just broaden your horizons a little bit. I feel like you can't really lose in that situation. Like you might be like, well, I'm spending all this time on making EDM stuff, but you're also subconsciously like learning all these EDM techniques, and then you just bring them back to your trap. That's how you make like some crazy stuff that no one's ever heard before. I feel like Benny X has been doing that because like he's been making those like I don't know if you heard the Yeet album. Probably, yeah. He has that one song that's like super poppy, but it sounds like you're driving at night in Need for Speed, and you know exactly what song that is.
I know, bro. You already know, bro. Yeah. I mean, think about it, like that's a perfect example. He just made a song for Drake too. Like,
yeah,
you think about like how crazy that is. Like another perfect example of a producer, Metro. Like he samples stuff. He does trap. Like he did a whole 21 album. He did an album with The Weeknd, and he's still like staying consistent. And so it like you said, you really can't lose. That's the perfect way to put it.
You kind of just snatch things from different genres, and then you kind of morph it into a new sound.
Right.
And that kind of just circles back to what we were saying. Like, I don't know if this is ever going to get truly saturated because it's just new stuff all the time. So, I mean, that's kind of my thoughts on like the new genres and all that stuff. I think you can't really lose.
You really can't. All right, Seth, I want to thank you for, coming, being on the first interview. Of course. Again, for the second time. So anything, you want to like tell everybody, shout out, like to look for any new videos, kits, anything dropping or?
A new video actually dropped today. It's one of my favorites. I would say it's the top 3 on the channel.
All right.
So I will go check that out if I were you. And then, in terms of kits, I'm working on one with my boy Aiden right now. I think you might know him.
AK, yep.
Yeah, shout out AK. He's gonna be working on a kit with me. We actually are just getting started on it. We got some loops and like a beefy 808 just kind of thrown in there. But we're gonna be working on some kits and stuff for the future. So if you want, just go check out my Instagram because I got a link to literally everything I own in the bio, and that's pretty much all I need.
All right, thank you, Seth, for coming on again. Everybody, make sure you follow Seth on Instagram. Go check out the links in the description, and I appreciate everybody for tuning in.